Can Pittsburgh give Rodgers one last ride? Will Cincinnati make a run for this division? Or will Cleveland have a happy ending? This is the AFC North division predictions for the Big Score podcast. AFC North. This division was interesting last year. Going into the season, I was pretty confident that Cincinnati was going to make a run and finally get back into the playoffs and do something. And obviously Burrow injures himself and goes down. So that allowed some of these other teams to kind of be mediocre and still make the playoffs, being Pittsburgh specifically. Baltimore as well. It came down to the last play of the season. We're going to start here with Baltimore, though. We're going through all these things and kind of looking at their schedules, and y'all two are really high on Baltimore. New head coach, same quarterback, same running back, same dynamic. 12-5 though. I don't know which one of you want to go first. It's the same record, almost the same schedule for y'all.
I can jump on. Yeah, I'll jump on this. Baltimore's going to get back to doing what Baltimore does best, and that's play defense. Bringing in a defensive guy. I think that team will kind of get its identity back. The offensive side of the ball is kind of what scares me more. Are we going to see a Lamar, Pro Bowl Lamar, or are we going to just see Pro Bowl Lamar, MVP Lamar? Excuse me. It could be Pro Bowl Shador Sanders back there. Yeah, MVP Lamar, or we're going to just see just a more timid, not taking as many kind of chances, running the ball, especially coming off those injuries. I don't think we're going to see that, but I don't think we're going to get all the way to MVP Lamar. So I think the offense could struggle a bit, but that defense is going to be so good. I could see them winning a lot of games, earlier in the season. But as some of the injuries and just, game after game getting hit, I could see a couple of drops towards the end of the season. But that defense is going to be real good, and they have a good team. They still have Derrick Henry, even though he's getting older. They just paid Zay Flowers, who is not, I think, deserving of that big contract, but he's still a good player.
Yeah.
So they have pieces. They have a good team. I could see him rattling off, like I said, 12 wins, as we're seeing right there.
You got half their wins in the first 6 weeks. That's all healthy. But you're right. They're all healthy, and also if you look at the schedule, it is fairly weak. Indianapolis, not sure what they're going to land there. The Saints, we are high on them, but is everybody else? We'll have to find out for that. Dallas, Tennessee, Atlanta, Cleveland are all trash. So it definitely makes sense.
He said trash.
Man, but yeah, you have them struggling in the middle of the season, obviously finishing strong with those 3 wins, which obviously would have them get into that first place potential spot. So you're feeling pretty confident, have 2 home games in a road game against Cincinnati. What are your thoughts there, giving them those 3 straight wins?
To end the season, you got to beat the Browns. The Browns are not trying to win at that point, nor do I think they could win. They really got to beat Cincinnati. That's going to be an important game for the division and seeding, everything like that. That's, not as important of making the playoffs, but you want to win the division. You want to have a higher seed. So it's important to win that one. And I think Pittsburgh's going to just fall off towards the I don't think they're a playoff team. Yeah. So it's going to be a tough game, obviously, but Baltimore's going to show up again, trying to fight for the division until the very last week of the season. Even though they're not playing the Bengals that week, the Bengals are going to be, fighting for their own playoff lives and division lives. So Baltimore's going to have to finish strong, and I think they do.
Yep. Yeah, and sliding over to Brad here, you got them starting 7-1 and then going into a pretty bad rough patch after that. What was your kind of thoughts there? Obviously, seeing that win against Buffalo, but then immediately following that up with 2 losses against Jacksonville and the Chargers.
Yeah, I think they take Buffalo in that week. But like Dan said also, I think with a new coach, I don't know. The way I looked at the past year or two with Lamar was he seemed disinterested. Like he didn't play like to his full potential like we usually do. You seen him not running as much. I don't know if that's because he felt pressure from previous coaching staff to try to stay healthy. So lessen the hits you take and whatnot. But then you also take away what made him who he was, which was a dynamic playmaker. So I think that with the new coaching staff, I think he might get a little rejuvenation and try to get back to his old ways. But maybe he learned a thing or two and tried to be smarter when it's okay to take off, but you need to get down and not take some hits and all the time, whatnot. But I think they get back to, like Dan said, Ravens football. They're always competing. It seems like no matter what happens, even if they're injured and whatnot, Derrick Henry's still a beast until proven otherwise. So I think the offense on the side of the ball is going to be just fine. And their defense, they made a big move in the offseason. They went and got Trey Hendrickson. I think that the Max Crosby deal fell through. That was kind of like a little cluster ordeal. But I people can say what they want or compare the two. I think Hendrickson has clearly been one of the top 5 pass rushers in the league for the past 5 years. So it's not like they,
lost scrum.
Yeah, it's not like they lost it on that deal. So I think that their defense is going to step up a little bit also as well. And their rookie receiver, Jacoby Lane, we've kind of tweeted about it. If people are following us on there, he's been showing out. So like Dan said, they paid Zay Flowers, but they might have another dude that overtakes that spot soon here.
No, and Jacoby Lane has been going at it this offseason. He's an interesting fella because I was really high on him in Dynasty, but obviously he needs enough few years to get ramped up there. But yeah, I'm not as high on them as y'all. Obviously, I've them with 10 wins. I just think that they are a playoff team. I think there's going to be a little bit of, even though I do have them starting out 4-1, I think that middle of the season is going to hurt them, and they're just going to be a streaky team in general. That new coaching staff trying to get things going. The schedule kind of lines up for it to be a little streaky, depending on the week and the grouping of games that they're playing. So I do have them at 10-7, and I just think that this year Lamar is going to play very well, but the supporting staff and the coaching staff just won't be there consistently to have him get up there into that 12-13 win ranking. So any final thoughts on Baltimore here?
Not too much. The only thing I would say is that week 7 to 10 is going to determine where they go. I think everything else, Baltimore has the roster and the talent and the history of being able to handle business pretty much where it needs to be. Week 7 to 10 is going to determine how that record goes to show, so to speak. They got 4 should be playoff teams back to back to back to back. So how they handle that, I think, is going to determine the back half of that season.
Yeah, that's definitely a good call there. And me and Dan both have them at 1-3. You have them at 2-2 in that stretch. So, but yeah, we're gonna move on to the next division player or team, and it's going to be Cincinnati. We're all pretty high on them, 12-5. We got there different ways, but we're all high on them. Obviously, y'all two have them competing with Baltimore for the division, and we'll get to those division final standings right after this. But I don't know, Brad, you kind of started them out kind of wishy-washy. Actually, both you and Dan, did you just copy Dan's first 5 weeks? Y'all both started them out the same exact way.
I've gotten more shit over copying Dan's stuff. But no, I think that's their hardest. The Houston game and the Jacksonville game, I think, is going to give them fits. Houston, because obviously their defense is, top 2 in the league. So I think that's going to give them fits just starting off early. They're going to have to get warmed up to get on track. And then I don't know. I think all of us are high on Jacksonville. We all gave them the L right there. But I like what the Bengals – the whole thing with the Bengals is, are they going to stay healthy, man? And can Joe Burrow stay off his back? Because he gets hit a lot. But I do like the fact that they finally seem to have some common sense and try to address the defense. I know let Hendrickson walk, but they really addressed the interior of that D-line with Sexy Dexy and Jonathan Allen. They brought both of them in. I think those are 2 run-stuffing D tackles. So I think that they are – finally trying to address the actual weak part of the team, because their defense has been atrocious ever since Burrow got there,
Yeah, no, and Dan, obviously you started the same way, but then coming out of that bye week, you haven't rattled them off 4 straight wins.
They're going to be, they have their games where they just look awful. Even when Joe Burrow is healthy, they just have an off game. Houston is going to be blitzing. They're going to be getting to Joe. So I think that could be, a loss right there. As we just talked about, we're all kind of high on Jacksonville. But the Bengals are a good team. Their defense has improved. If Joe Burrow could stay healthy, he doesn't need a ton of time to get the ball to his receivers. Even a check down to Chase Brown. I know we all like to joke about Chase Brown, but he's a good running back. He can catch the ball for him. They have a really good team, possibly a great team if the defense can improve like the three of us think they will.
Yeah.
So I think after that bye week, go and beat Baltimore. You got a few easier games. You got a divisional game against Pittsburgh, but you should be able to win that. They can win against Washington like both of you have. That's even a longer win streak. That can help them win the division there. They'll probably drop one of those games. But yeah, I think they come out that bye week screaming and rattle off some wins. The only problem is towards the end of the season, I think Baltimore is going to, be pushing them for that spot. And if Baltimore's defense is clicking, that can give Cincinnati some trouble. And that's where they drop one right at the end.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense based on your comments about Baltimore and how confident you all are with them. The reason I have Cincinnati right out here going 12-5 mainly is because of the defense. I'm not going to rehash what Brad said, but everything he said, I feel the exact same way with that defense. They put a lot of effort into trying to improve it, and I think it's going to pay them dividends this year. Obviously, they're going to start out really hot for myself, going was that 7-1 before getting a little streaky in the middle of the season, then rattling off 3 and then getting a little washy at the end. Really, the loss to Cleveland at the end, I think, is because they're going to have the division locked up by week 17 after that win against Baltimore. I think that win will shut out Baltimore from the division contention. So they're probably going to rest a couple players against Cleveland and just give Cleveland a win at the end of the season. But 12-5, it's still a really good team overall. The offense is still talented. They still have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins carrying them. They have, an average running back room, but I think the receivers are going to carry that team.
Shots fired.
No, Chase Brown's a really good running back for Cleveland, for Cincinnati.
Yeah, he fits the system well.
Yeah, he does what they need him to do.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Just don't screw up. That's what they tell him.
Speaking of screwing up, let's move into Pittsburgh. I thought I was going to go to Cleveland there. But we're going to go to Pittsburgh, and we completely agree. We don't agree how they get there, but we agree that they're not going to be good this year. Aaron Rodgers will not ride out on a pretty white horse into the sunset. He is going to maybe not be playing by week 12. I don't know. What's y'all's thoughts? We'll start with Dan. What's your thoughts? You have him going 0-4 to start the season.
Yeah, Atlanta's got to win games at some point, right? So they can start out with a win over Pittsburgh, and they got 2 tough games against New England. We just talked about Cincinnati and Cleveland. Yeah. I don't think Cleveland's going to be much. We'll talk about them next, but those divisional games, Cleveland hates Pittsburgh. Those teams do not like each other. Cleveland has a bad quarterback situation, but the rest of the team is pretty talented. I think they're probably more talented than the Steelers. They just seem like a more complete team on the defensive side of the ball. They got younger defense, and the Steelers just seem old and slow. I really don't like what they're doing. I think Cleveland can just come and punch them in the mouth. I mean, Indy could. Steelers got to start winning at some point. So they'll rattle off wins here and there. They'll beat some good teams. But yeah, it's going to be an ugly season. Let Rodgers ride it out. I think he'll start the whole time unless he gets hurt. And maybe they'll turn their attention to Drew Aller next year.
Honestly, so no love for Drew Aller. He looked really good week 1 in the preseason. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to come out and be, Tyler
They're not going to bench Rodgers. They're going to let him ride it out. He already said this is last year.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're going to be too good to go get one of the top quarterbacks next year. So it's perfect. Drew Aller comes in. They'll be, I guess, just good enough. Mike McCarthy may keep his job. The Steelers don't turn coaches over very often.
No, they don't. They're very committed to the average coaches.
If he's the the quarterback whisperer he used to be, and now he gets to go into next year with Drew Aller, and they got to do a lot of work. The team is just old. Their running backs are old. Yeah. Their receivers. I like Michael Pittman, but that team's just a mess.
Like wide receiver. He's like wide receiver 3 on the team currently.
Well,
that's what I read.
The most targets at
Pittman.
Rodgers will get him the ball more than DK or Jeremy Bernard or whoever else.
I agree. As soon as Jeremy Bernard screws up, Rodgers is going to put his ass to the bench.
It's just I think Rodgers will lead them to too many wins to be a bad team. But they're not a good team.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, Brad. You got them starting at 0-3, then rattling off 3 in a row. You're going to get Pittsburgh fans confident, then you're just going to kick them while they're high.
That's right.
Going into the bye.
Snap back to reality. My thoughts is, it is Rodgers' last season. I think that, bringing McCarthy in, they won a Super Bowl together. Their offense was very potent together back in Green Bay. I don't think it's going to be anything close to that, but I do think that you'll see a little bit of a better version of Aaron Rodgers than we saw last year, or the previous 3, I should say. And I agree with what Dan said when he closed out. I think that Rodgers will be good enough to win him some games because he is still a talented quarterback. But the team's just not good enough to get double-digit wins or better. I don't think their defense is that great. I love some TJ Watt. I think their defensive line's underrated, but everybody on that team in the critical positions are on the wrong side of 30 or on the backside of their career. So I don't think that's going to translate to them. And then with Cincinnati and Baltimore in that division, I don't think they're going to compete. They're just not in the spot to do it. But
it's interesting that both Pittsburgh and Baltimore made major changes to their coaching staff because they both felt as though they were underperforming, yet the results are completely – at least we all agree that the results are going to be completely different with these teams. I agree to a lesser extent because I have them at 10-7. I have Pittsburgh at 8-9. I could easily see Pittsburgh being 9-8. They are the stereotypical 500 football team in the NFL. So you could just put them 8-9, 9-8, pick a game you want to flip to a win or a loss. It's going to be the same. But I don't know, Brad. You're sitting there at 8-9. You're that confident that McCarthy just doesn't have the team around him to be able to pull them over the edge to get to that 9 or 10 win.
Yeah, spot. I really don't. It's just they didn't really make any big off-season moves. They kind of just stuck with their guns. They usually draft pretty well, as far as Pittsburgh history.
Historically.
Historically, but it just seems like the last couple of years they haven't gotten the pieces where they needed them. But I got them starting off slow, and then them 3 teams in the middle. It's not like they're beating anybody that's competing to win. So it's not like I have a bunch of faith in them. But I do think that as far as fantasy-wise goes, I know I was a little bit higher on Rodgers than most of y'all, and it's basically because I don't think Rodgers is going to lose him many games. I just don't know how much he can carry that team over the hump to win him many games.
He'll play smart football.
That's what I'm saying at this point in his career. But it's a good thing, like you mentioned. I don't think they start Drew Aller because it's Rodgers' final season, but it's not a bad thing for Drew Aller to learn from Aaron Rodgers because he's a very mistake-free quarterback. So
going into next year, he's good. This is one of the differences between the Ravens and the Steelers is who can you rely on the Steelers' offense? Rico, Dowdle, and Jalen Warren, good running backs, but you probably want them as your running backs. I don't think either one is. The other team has Derrick Henry. The other team has Lamar Jackson. Even if he's, not himself, he's still a crazy talent. Rodgers is just going to play mistake-free football. He's not going to throw for 400 yards in a game or run for 100 yards. They don't have crazy weapons on the outside. They just, again, everybody just feels old and slow and like they're just kind of stuck in the mud.
Yeah,
I completely agree in that, and that's kind of why I have them as that stereotypical 8-9, 9-8 team, that 500 team. They would be 8-8 back in the day when we only played 16 games. It's just they're old. They're gonna get on some win streaks. They're gonna get on some losing streaks, and it's just gonna flop back and forth throughout the season. McCarthy's a really good coach. I really think so. I think he got done dirty in Dallas. He just couldn't get over the hump with Dak, and He deserved to get a second shot, or I guess third shot technically because he coached with Green Bay first. But I just think in this situation, he came into a bad situation, and Mike Tomlin pieced out at the right time, or I guess he got asked to leave or retired, however you want to look at it. It can go both ways. Yeah, I'm just floating there at 8-9. They're just going to bounce back and forth. The fans are going to get excited at some point, especially that 3-game win streak during the bye week and coming back and beating the Bengals. They're going to feel really high, like, oh, we're back. We can make a run now. And then Denver and Philadelphia are going to kick them, and they're not really going to return after that. So
that's a tough stretch out going out the bye week too.
It is.
And you got 6
Bengals, Eagles, Broncos, Texans, Jaguars, all playoff teams.
Yeah.
And then Ravens.
Ravens twice in 4 weeks. Yeah, then the season that's not good. I do think they split one because, like you said, the same reason you said with Cincinnati. I think that the Ravens are going to give them the business. I mean, I know we all have them.
The AFC North will always play each other.
It will.
Hard. It doesn't matter if you're
they do.
16-0 team against an 0-16 team. They're going to come down. It's a coin flip.
For whatever reason, the players change, but that hatred stays the same.
Lives.
It seems like exactly. So that is kind of always cool to watch.
Speaking of teams that their fans hate, Cleveland. So me and Dan having a 5-12, and Brad, you were a little too nice. You gave them 6 wins.
I did give them 6
wins.
wins.
I don't know how you gave them 6 wins, how you got there, because I could barely find 5. I had to start really thinking on where actually 5 is going to come from. But I'll say in typical AFC North fashion, I have them splitting with probably the 2 best teams in the division. So, because they're going to steal some wins. Although, like I said, with the Bengals update, that last one is going to be just a handed win to them, and it may actually be done. Cincinnati may actually be happy with that because it may put Cleveland out of the potential number 1, number 2, or number 3 pick, depending on how the rest of the league falls. That could lock them into a top 5, but not number 1, 2, or 3, which could hurt their quarterback position. Specifically with this team, they don't have a quarterback. They have humans that play football on that team that are in the quarterback position, but they do not have a quarterback. But yeah, I see them as a streaky team. I think, after the first 7 weeks, the fans may be a little bit excited getting 3 wins out of 7 games and being close to that 500, and maybe we can make a run coming against Pittsburgh and New Orleans and the Texans. But I think they just get kicked down and the quarterbacks fall. But whichever one it is, it really doesn't matter. They just fall back to mediocrity.
Yeah. Teams are going to start figuring out that game plan by then.
You got them starting 3-1. Like, you really want to punish Cleveland.
We talked about Jacksonville. They're going to be a tough team to beat. Like I said, though, Cleveland has a lot of good pieces. It's just their quarterbacks that are so bad. Mm-hmm. Tampa, I think, is a mess. Carolina is a good team, but they're going to make mistakes. And Cleveland's got a great defense. Carolina should have a better offense this year, better offensive line. It'll be a tough game, but I think Cleveland can easily win that one. And again, a divisional game against Pittsburgh. They could even rock in the Jets and keep going. But at some point, Deshaun Watson is going to fall off, and they're going to switch to Shador. I say probably around week 8 or week 9.
That's interesting. So you don't think Shador actually wins the job coming out of the gate? You think Deshaun won the job coming out of the gate?
Yeah, this Shador's so bad.
I agree.
Deshaun Watson's not great, but
they're paying him.
They're gonna start.
They're paying him. That's a good point.
He's going 3-1
a lot of money
to start the year, but yeah, he'll drop the next few. They'll pivot to Shador. Shador's going to drop a few more. Coming out that bye week, they got a game against Vegas. They got a divisional game against Cincinnati. They can win both of those. But yeah, 5 wins is going to put them in a bad spot going into the draft next year. I don't think they're going to get one of the top 3 draft picks, but they're going to still try and lose the rest of those games. Even if Shador's not trying to lose them, they will lose them.
He doesn't have to try to lose.
The team is really good. I like.
No, they are. I agree.
Players.
That's why I had them at 6, man.
I just don't think position players can drag you over the line when you have a terrible quarterback.
No,
they got to get the ball.
We saw what Myles Garrett did for this team, and they couldn't win games. And I like Jared Verse, but he's not going to win them games.
No, I feel bad for Jared Verse. He left a championship contender, and he's going to a bottom feeder. That's awful for him. but he's getting paid. So yeah. He's a millionaire. He's fine. But no, Dan, before we get to Brad, I do completely agree with you. They have a very good wide receiver room. They have a very good tight end room, and they have a very good running back room. If they can figure out a way to get a above average quarterback,
offensive line too. That offensive line should be a lot better.
If they can just get a above average quarterback, this team could win easily 10 games because they have that much talent in their positions. It's just those quarterbacks are going to lose you games.
Even Baker, I know he's
Baker.
not.
I also say Baker. Who'd you say I missed that?
I said Baker. Just imagine, even though he's not what he used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he could lead this team to a playoff game again.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brad. We're seeing over here. You got 6 wins. You're getting a little streaky everywhere. They're going to be sad coming out of the first 7 weeks or 6 weeks. You only got to win in 1 game, but you give them 2 more, and then the wheels fall off after that.
Yeah, I like the addition that they addressed the offensive line. They brought in the guard from the Chargers to bolster that side, and then they used his first-round pick on a tackle who should start at left tackle. So I think they addressed that. They seen that Quinshon Judkins was a promising back in his rookie year, and I think that they went out and got some offensive line to take the pressure off the quarterback so they can pound Judkins as much as possible and control the clock. So I think that, using those type of players or that type of game plan, I think, every now and then one of those quarterbacks, I'm not going to say they're going to set the world on fire, but they're going to have a game where they play decent and it's going to be good enough to get them some wins. Their wide receiver room is deep. We just have to see if it translates once the season starts. We all are super high on Harold Fannin. We think he's probably top 5 tight end in the league. Yeah. They did go out and get Jared Verse, but all in all, this team's not playing it right now. They traded what could be arguably the best player in the league for a player of a lesser caliber, although Jared Verse is very talented. But the main thing was those 3 draft picks. They need to they're hoping to use one of them to find their quarterback of the future. Yes.
Well, being at 6 wins, they're going to have to trade up to get the quarterback of the future.
They will.
Because with 6 wins, they're probably going to land at the 8th or 9th pick. Not the 3rd or 4th or 5th.
Correct, but that doesn't mean they have to get one next year. It just depends on who they like. So
I mean, that's a valid point, but I think with the amount of talent you have on offense, you need to be all in on trying to find your quarterback next year. Like the 2027 draft, you got to go get somebody up.
Or number 9.
It just depends. It depends on how the cards fall. You're going to see if they start tanking or not. But like I said, I think they're roster is way too talented for them to only be like winning 2 or 3 games. They're gonna catch somebody on an off week, and they're gonna end up beating them.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you can clearly have that a couple times here with Indy and with Pittsburgh. So yeah, the division. We disagree at number 1, but we agree generally with the top 2. I will say the way these two put their put their schedules together, I had to go to the 5th tiebreaker to get the determination of who's going to win the AFC North. And Baltimore, for both of y'all, made it out. Myself, I have Cincinnati. We all agree Cincinnati's going to be 12-5, or at least a very good team. I just have them. I don't have Baltimore as high, so they finished first for myself. And then the last 2, the same exact thing. We all see Pittsburgh and Cleveland wrapping up the division. Any general thoughts on this division before we close this one out?
I'm excited to see how the Bengals defense holds up towards the end of the year, and same with the Ravens defense. One should be really good. One should be trying to be really good. I think that second to last game of the season between them almost decides the division at that point. If the Ravens win it, obviously that helps in their whole tiebreaker math to get the division. I'm hoping that come that week 6 or week 17 game, I'm excited to see that, and I hope it's a good one to kind of close out the division, even with 1 week left, obviously. But I think both teams should try, should be able to win that last game against lesser opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's, in my opinion, just looking at this, and if any of you guys, were fans of ours and watched our AFC West division breakdown, one of these teams is going to be 11, 12 wins and could possibly miss the playoffs. They got a lot of teams at the top. It's very top heavy in the AFC, in my opinion, this year. But as Dan touched on it, I'm interested to see what Joe Burrow can do with hopefully a defense that can perform at least middle of the pack. Us being New Orleans, Louisiana boys, we watched a lot of Drew get wasted with no defense, especially in his prime years. So, I want Cincinnati to win the division, but I think as long as they make it into the playoffs, they should be fine if they're healthy.
No, good deal. Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with y'all with that. I think Cincinnati's going to stand out this year and take this division for the first time. And I'd have to look at all my standings, but I don't know if Baltimore makes the playoffs. 10-7 may not be good enough in my predictions to make the playoffs. So we're going to have to find out in our coming episodes. And so we really appreciate y'all jumping in on this one.
Indeed.
This was our AFC North division.